Welcome back to Geek Culture 101, your home for all things geek. Today I want to do a little retrospective review of Power Rangers SPD. I've recently finished my rewatch and thought I'd share my thoughts with you guys. So let's get morphin'. First of all, SPD is one of those seasons that often gets overshadowed by its predecessor, Power Rangers Dino Thunder. Dino Thunder being an anniversary season, and the fact that it brings back the great late Jason David Frank as Tommy Oliver made it a real standout. So, of course, anything to follow that, may not necessarily get the attention that it deserves. But SPD is a wild ride. It starts off with, characters that aren't your typical Rangers. I mean, you've got Jack, who, him and Z are thieves. I mean, yeah, they're doing it for the right reasons. They're, stealing to help the poor, but they're still thieves. And they actually are arrested by SPD, which gives you a little conflict right off the bat. I mean, it makes it so you're looking at these characters like, hey, they could be real people, even though it's set in a future world. It's set in this place where aliens are here. And it's a deeper series than we give it credit for. And, basically, Jack could either stay in prison or do something good and fight for all of mankind as a Power Ranger. He's reluctant. He doesn't feel like he fits that mold. Z, on the other hand, is offered the same deal, and she jumps at the chance. She wants to do something greater. She knows she's meant for more than just the street life. So it gives a unique perspective right away. Now, this does come back up later in the series. There's some conflict between Sky, whose dream is to be the Red Ranger, like his dad. But here's this street kid basically, taking the role of the Red Ranger, yet he's stuck at blue. It shows, a lot of character development as the series goes on because of this. I mean, it just sets a solid foundation. So as it progresses, SPD really is fleshed out in the story. We're brought in to really see these characters as people. Even Doggy Kruger, who, is an, I don't know if it's an animatronic or just a puppet head, but, he is a suit character that, we all still wonder how eventually fits inside a Power Ranger helmet. But hey, it is what it is, right? But, we even get to see his backstory. We get to see several characters' backstories, emotional moments that dig deep, that discuss, the conflict that we all face in life, that discuss the trials and tribulations that every man and woman face at some point. It's all there. It's very action filled. It is oftentimes, wacky, but it doesn't hardly ever go over the top with the wackiness. It's actually one of the seasons that stays more grounded, which is fitting because, SPD is supposed to be basically a military thing. So you want the characters to be fairly, structured, regimented, I should say. But, there's still those times of, that campy humor that Power Rangers as a brand is known for. Later on in the series, there are moments where I feel like the characters kind of go backwards in their development. Like, everything seems to be going good. Jack had learned a lesson about, taking advantage of his team and what it means to be a leader. But then there's conflict again right before they get the swap mode. It just, to me, feels like a step forward and then a step back. Step forward, step back. But it's not too bad. I mean, most times, these characters grow, they learn, and it sticks. There's just those small moments like that. Speaking of things that kind of bug me, when Omega Ranger comes in, which to me is one of the coolest Rangers in all the franchise, the fact that his unmorphed self is just a ball of light is kind of annoying. I get that they use that to integrate him throughout several episodes before we officially see him. And I believe it was because of budgetary reasons, but still, it still falls just a little bit short. It would have had more impact if we would have seen an actor. Yeah, the character of Sam, we do see eventually as a child and come to realize, it's the same kid, but it still would have been more realistic if Sam was a real person as, Omega Ranger. And then you get the fact that Omega Ranger is suddenly just not too involved at key moments. But, I get there's also limitations with source footage and the way some of that played out. So it's all good. In general, it ends on an extreme. Kind of shocks me that Jack ends up deciding to leave SPD. But, again, it shows character development. It shows these characters as real people making the hard decisions, making choices about their life beyond just being a Power Ranger. So it's got a lot of depth, it's got a lot of action, it's got some fun, and it is one of the better Disney seasons, in my opinion. So I give it 4.5 morphs out of 5. So it's almost perfect, little flawed, but it's a fun ride. So if you've never seen SPD, I highly recommend you go back and watch it. I believe it's on Tubi and a few others for free. Might still be on Netflix, I'm not sure. But some of them even have it at HD quality now. So, yeah, that wraps up this review. But make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more geek content. And until next time, stay geeky, my friends. Stay geeky.